All right, look at that. Another week around your trash fire. Your host, Matthias, so on with the boy.
John.
Well, we got quite the interesting topics to go here.
Yeah, absolutely.
From good old Underworlds
Sticker
to good
album.
old, yes, some stickers, Underworld, balance updates,
Yeah, no one cares about that.
and yeah, well, I mean, no one really plays 40k anyways. So
That's true.
where's my Blood Bowl crew at? Come on. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff. So let's just jump into it, shall we? Starting off with we had teaser images, but they decided to release it. And what is surprising to me is that they've already just are selling it this week, which I didn't expect.
Yeah, this is very interesting. This is almost a new season already, which I believe you predicted, Matt. And I was like, nah, no way, it's not fall yet. And yeah, way ahead of schedule. So I wonder why. I mean, it's cool. The box is cool, don't get me wrong. It's a really cool box.
Mm-hmm.
But it usually comes out around fall, early winter. So yeah, this is a very early release. I wonder how the state of the game is for Underworlds for them to push this really hard so soon. So yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
we were wrong, kind of. I mean, the teams are pretty recognizable.
Yeah, Skaven and Daughters of or Dark Elves, classic style Dark Elves.
Well, they're more Daughters of Cain, right? Isn't this Morathi's
Yeah,
Secret Assassins?
right, right.
So, I mean, it's
But they
cool
don't
because
have
I
the
like the
classic.
models.
Yeah, they don't have the classic Daughters system. It's still unique. It's the same as the Warcry Warband. So if you have that, this is a cool little addition. The Skaven one is really cool too. I mean, these are great models, and I'm not even gonna say like, oh, they're weird or out there. They're solid HD sculpts of really cool designs,
Mm.
classic Skaven ninjas. So yeah, I like it. It's
Well,
just odd in
well,
terms of
I wasn't
you
really
know,
expecting Skaven, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, if you've been in this hobby long enough, you realize patterns and James Workshop's release schedule, and yeah, this is very early. Very, very early.
Well, it's
Well,
that and it's kind of they've already got a team, so it's kind of unexpected.
yeah, and they're essentially retiring the starter set from 6 months ago, which is the Stormcast and the Cruel Boys.
Right. Okay. Had a little recording problem there. Anyway, so yeah, there we go. We got the new starter set coming out, basically. Rats and elves. Excited to see. And then see what we got here. We got the Exiled Dead coming to pre-order as well. These guys haven't been out yet, have they? I don't
No, they
remember.
have not. They announced them at Adepticon fully, and now they are coming out finally. Finally coming out.
Dang, they're releasing 3 war bands at once right here.
Yeah. 3 new warbands and 2 reboxes from the starter set. So it's for all things concerned, it is a massive week. Yeah, massive week for Underworlds.
That's definitely gonna shake up the meta there with 3 armies.
Sure.
So we got them coming out. We got the Cruel Boys and the Stormcast coming out as well. Black Library, Throne of Light coming to not plastic, soft cover and digital. These are the short stories, right? These are, or is it something
Yeah.
else?
Oh, you mean Dawn of Fire?
Yeah.
No, this is a novel. I might pick this up actually because there's Black Templars in it. So, but we'll see. We'll see if it's. I mean, Guy Haley is pretty good. He's a solid author.
Yeah, of course.
So,
And then
if there's some cool. The only thing with these Dawn of Fire books, the kind of like Dark Imperium. I mean, I like Dark Imperium, but there are some moments where it's clearly an ad for the miniatures where they describe something, and I can really tell. Like I'm reading a lot of War Machine books right now, and it's really obvious when they describe something that okay, that's a model. You know,
Right.
the Space Marine Inceptors and their plasma incinerators descend upon the Death Guard Plague Marines. Like, yeah, that's clear. You're talking about miniatures you're gonna sell, because otherwise, you know, there's some of the really good 40k novels that don't rely on the combat. They'd say stuff like enemy forces or enemy Space Marines or just enemy orcs. That's it. Hot, demonic creatures, right? And they don't get them. They don't say, "Oh, that's a bloodletter of Cord with its Hellblade." It's kind of makes it vague and it flows
Yeah.
better to the story, but back to Dawn of Fire. Yeah, because this is the flagship narrative series for ninth edition, I can just imagine the model advertisements being all over the place, which for me is kind of a not a turn off, but you know, if I'm debating between reading this and something else, it kind of pushes me into reading something else. But that's just me. I'm sure it's going to be solid. The past few ones were apparently very solid, so.
I'll wait for your glowing review. What else we got here? We got Dawn of Fire, Throne of Light, special edition book.
Yep.
Got God Trek, Soul Slayer. Go meet the Sea Elves.
I mean, Gotrek and Felix, well, not just Gotrek, they're really good. If your listeners haven't read the original Gotrek and Felix, at least the first book, it's really good. Just like, classic Warhammer fantasy. Of here's some old world stuff. I haven't gotten to the AOS stuff yet. I bought the audiobook because I had some credits on Audible. So I think after I'm actually listening to Vampire Slayer right now because I finished Siege of Terra marathon that took like 3 months. Um, I'm gonna yeah, I'm continuing to go with some new Gothic and Felix stuff, and I am excited to listen to the AOS stuff because it's really good just fantasy adventures.
Still haven't dived into it yet. But I mean, I've got like 12 audio credits, so maybe I'll pick
Yeah.
it up.
Oh, Troll Slayer, so good because it is Jonathan Keeble.
All right then. Well, I'll pick it up. I'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Troll Slayer, the first book, it's kind of an anthology. That's not really an anthology. There's different chapters, and each chapter is a different adventure. So it's very digestible. You listen to the first chapter, then you go on the second one, and so on and so on.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what else we got here. We got another anniversary Soul Drinker anniversary book or special
Yeah.
edition book.
Have you read this one, Soul Drinkers?
No. This is what AOS, right? No, it's
No, this is 40K.
40K. No.
Yeah. It's
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really read many of the 40K books. There's only like probably like I can count on one hand how many of the 40K books I've read.
got it.
So, I'm
But
slowly getting into it.
Soul Drinkers they stand out because I haven't read this, but this is talked about a lot in the wider community because Soul Drinkers are a chapter that goes renegade but doesn't turn chaos. So they're essentially anti-imperium but pro-emperor and anti-chaos. Now they do thread the line and with chaos corruption and stuff, but
Don't you chaos players, pure-blooded chaos players hate renegades?
yes, we do. But these guys aren't really renegades in the way Red Corsairs or Crimson Slaughter are. They're just not fully committed to the Imperium, but they are fully committed to serving the Emperor in their own way. And they just don't want to deal with the Inquisition and all that and the Administratum. So it's an interesting kind of dynamic there. And it is on my reading list. It's just my Space Marine hype is all Horus Heresy right now, so it's hard for me to go to do some 40k stuff, but I think eventually I'll end up reading this book. And a lot of people recommend it because of the unique premise, and apparently it's done well too. So
There we go, another solid book to get.
yep.
Let's see what else we got here. Some language books being translated. Here we are. The the 40k stickers and cards. This is an interesting choice. I'm just gonna pull up the article right here.
I mean, if they're not waterproof, I don't care.
It's just it's weird. You know, it's fallen to the side that I haven't heard of about yet for a long time. The magic collaboration. Is that still a thing, or?
Yeah, it's happening at some point.
Well, that's kind of weird, but yeah, you can get start collecting all these stickers and cards, going from Necrons to Orcs to Space Marines to whatever. I have no interest in this. I don't really have any interest in collecting stickers slash. I mean, the cards would be kind of cool, but I don't really care too much for it. What are your thoughts on this?
Um, no real thoughts on it. I mean, depends if it's cheap and they're neat. I have some. I could put stickers. Actually, stickers are good if you have those hard carry cases that easily help you identify who's who.
I guess.
But I mean, yeah, they're just stickers. Not really. Don't really have lots of things to put stickers on. So I
Well,
mean, it's one of those things where I'm cool. I'm glad it exists. It's cool that it's there. It probably supports the growth of the hobby and the exposure of Warhammer. So that's great, but it's not really necessarily something I am super hyped about.
I have no interest in it whatsoever. This is just stuff that would just sit there, collect dust if I had it.
Right.
Because I don't really like putting stickers on anything. And the cards will just be thrown around somewhere, probably lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, no interest in this for me. But there you go. You getting that? Range rotation. Quite a lot of stuff getting rotated out.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is a lot of like
Now,
modern kits. Not modern, but
now I can't speak for majority of this stuff, but I know all the Dark Eldar stuff that's rotating out is all fine cast. So, fingers crossed that they start making plastic versions of these, but honestly, the only thing for Dark Eldar, the only things that are, will be sad, will be missed, will be Urian Rakoth, Mandrakes, and Grotesques. Those three models are still very popular in the Dark Eldar army. Everyone else is meh. I know the Archon court didn't really do too much or see too much play other than the beginning when people were experimenting, but yeah, losing those three is kind of hurtful. Of course, you can always kit bash, but
it is weird because they are units that have no alternative. And yeah, like what if I want to use, a Mandrake squad? I can't because I can't buy them. I mean, second market exists, right? But as far as Games Workshop's concerned, they want you to buy everything from them. So it's just weird that stuff. The Destroyer Lord, you can't make Zagstruks, Necron, Badrock. These are all data sheets that are available, and the codex just came out not too long ago. So it is interesting.
yeah. Well, I assume all these are fine cast. Is that safe
Yes.
to assume?
Yep. And Forge World,
Yeah.
except for the Tidewall gun rig, which is the terrain piece.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm not
But
surprised that it's going away, but
yeah,
terrain pieces usually don't do too well.
yeah,
Let me rephrase that. Army, what do they call it? Army buildings don't do too well. No one ever really runs it. They just use them as terrain pieces. Now for
right.
what they're intended. But yeah, I was supposed to see some Forge World stuff on there too. Though, I haven't seen a Necron Pylon be played since 7th edition.
Yeah. Or in Dawn of war mods.
Yeah, but it looks like it's finally time for the Xenos to take a hit on the range rotation. So, yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say surprisingly is the Grotesque Mandrakes and Urian. That's about it. Everyone else, I mean, I've never seen anyone run Space Pope. I never really. Everyone's Cryptech is usually something third-partied or kit bashed. Never seen a Necron Overlord. Don't really see the Necron Lord. So, I mean, a lot of this stuff I don't even see.
Right.
The orc characters, I never see anyone run an orc character. No, I play more of the competitive side, so you know.
Snickrod has some game in Blood Axe lists. Zagstruck, no one really runs. Badrock, no one really runs.
Yeah.
So, and they're not. And the thing is, if a model, so if a model sells well, if it's either competitive or if it looks really cool, is a cool kit, and these orb kits aren't. I don't belong in either category, so I could see why they would want them to just make space for other things. So
Well, I hope it just means that they're gonna finally get plastic. That's what I hope for. That's what I want. I want all this to become plastic and no longer resin. But we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it's not off the market too long, but you never know. Moving on from that, we got the Warhammer Plus. And it looks like they're gonna do a battle report on the new Ash Waste gang.
yeah, it really tells me that this is imminent. Maybe next week.
Maybe next week. And then Interrogator, the new Warhammer Plus show.
I'm very curious about that.
I remember seeing the trailer. I wasn't too interested in it. Maybe if I see the first episode, I might change my mind. But
right,
we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to see if it's more like a noir kind of thing, or if it's gonna be classic 40K, where it's all out there, high fantasy kind of stuff.
right.
But yeah, I think I'd be more interested in the Necromunda battle report because I want to see how the Ashways game plays and learn the game a little bit more. But yeah, that is it. No special events coming up this week. Blah blah blah. So, shall we move on to good old Chaos Space Marines?
Let's do it. Side note, the Warhammer Vault thing caught my eye. I need to check that out if they fixed the PDF reader yet, because if they did, we'd be reading some old white dwarfs for sure.
Ah, okay.
But yes.
Well, Chaos Space Marines got a little bit more than what they originally teased us. We already know about the 2 wounds. That's obviously the one of the bigger updates, but they also now went up to 3 attacks, which makes them more killy, kind of, than normal Primaris Marines.
Which is good. It's different. It makes them look. It makes them not just carbon copies of Marines, which is great. I can imagine. I believe they're losing the hateful assault rule.
Yeah, that's obviously what's going to be happening.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, yeah, they essentially gained that rule in every round of close combat now. So, plus there's the Armour of Contempt change, which we could talk about later, which is a huge buff to powered armor than anything.
Yeah, well, I mean,
And
this is the only big news that happened on the Chaos Space Marines. But a question to you: do you think this is just a precursor for what normal Marines are going to be getting? Because there's a rumor that Space Marine 2.0 is coming out.
Yeah,
later this year.
I don't think so. I don't think they'll make Marines. I don't think they'll give Marines the extra attack and remove shock assault.
Okay.
I think it's something that makes Marines unique. I mean, I prefer they not.
I would prefer they didn't either, but there's always that possibility.
Right.
But what else they gave us? They gave us some new, well, not new weapons. They gave us some weapon stats as well. With I don't know why it's so far away. Zoom in on this. They got the heavy chain axe, which I didn't read the heavy part at first. I'm like, man, they're buffing the chain axe so much right now. That's gonna be great. And then I read heavy. I was like, oh, oh well. But heavy chain axe pretty much being a power fist.
I think it's neat, but I don't think it's something that competitively people will take a lot. Maybe the Demon Blade, but I kind of feel you were just, especially for Chaos Marine Squad, just keep them cheap, give them a
Well,
plasma.
it'll all depend on the marks that you can give them, right? If you wanted to do like a corn
like
theme army, I'm sure you can get some pretty good buffs on why you would want to take this.
right, if you play Corn, then you'd want the melee weapons.
But I mean, for all we
Especially
know, this isn't
the
just
heavy,
limited to normal Space Marines. It's
right. Although I do like that the heavy chain axe seems to become some kind of heavy weapon for melee.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way you could equip most squads with a heavy weapon, Sisters of Battle squads, Guard squads, Space Marine squads with a heavy bolter missile, or whatever. And it's cool that they have a melee weapon variant for the Chaos Marines. I think that's great.
Yep.
That lets you tailor your, like if you play Corn, you wouldn't really need a heavy bolter or a plasma gun. You'd want just more melee weapons. So I think that's great.
Yep. And I mean, like I said, it's basically a power fist with better AP on it.
Right.
2 damage though, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you get 3 attacks hitting on 4s because it's -1 to hit, unfortunately. But if you're going against Space Marines, it's a definite kill. Kind of, almost.
Oh,
yeah. Ever since they got that new update, it's not a definite kill, but it is a kill.
Yeah, it's still AP -4, which is down to -3 with the new change, but that's still pretty nasty.
Yep, and then we got the last bit of news here: the Demon Blade. I'm not too familiar with the Demon Blade. That one, I'm not too sure on how much it got buffed. I'm sure the damage is
These are
increased.
both new weapons. These don't exist right now.
Oh, well, I knew the heavy chain axe didn't exist.
Yeah.
I didn't know if the Demon Blade didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a squad weapon for Chaos Marines, it does not exist. So which is great. So it's something new.
Oh, there you go. It's strength 4 weapon, -2 damage with a chance to mortal wound on a 6.
Yes.
So,
which is really good. Mortal wounds are really good right now.
solid choice. And that's pretty much it on the Chaos Space Marines. How are you feeling about it? Because I know you're Black Legion fan.
Oh, I really like it. I mean, I'm gonna build these guys anyway because I have the kill team.
Right.
After I finish my War Machine and Horus Heresy and
Have you finished all your other
Star Wars
thousands of
Legion,
projects?
Scum and Villainy, yeah, after all that. Back to Black Legion now.
Back when after they get a book, you'll start working on them.
I know, right? But yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited.
Well, that's good.
It makes the basic squad not even just good, but customizable. I think that's really nice. Again, if like I was saying earlier, if you're on a melee squad, build melee stuff for it. If you're in a range squad, you build some range stuff for it.
Yeah, it's not just a
your
squad
MSU.
of bolters.
Right. There's some variety to your squad building, which is great. I like it. It is exciting.
Well, speaking of variety, we got Chaos Knights.
Oh yeah, Chaos Knights.
I know. Not too exciting, but...
Well, there's the leak, which I do want to mention here.
Oh. Alright, let's go ahead.
There was a leak. It was a snippet of a page, but it was a very important page. Essentially, the page said, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me. But if you take a single Chaos Knight as an auxiliary Lord of War, you do not lose any faction specific bonuses like the Death Guard plague things or Thousand Suns cults or whatever. And
Hmm.
if there's going to be anyone for Chaos Space Marines, you won't lose it, which is a huge change because the biggest drawback to taking knights right now in most armies is you lose your faction
Your
specific
faction specific,
bonuses.
yeah.
So being able to keep that is crazy because now it really opens the army construction possibilities for taking knights. Now I don't know why you would want to take knights in this era of Tyranids, but if they could be really good depending on the how they are in the new codex. So
Well,
should be cool.
well, since I didn't know about that leak, it makes sense because when I was reading this article, I was like, I see these mechanics being integrated into the Black Legion codex here
Yeah,
with
the
these
regular Chaos Marine codex.
with the favor of the dark gods. It kind of reminds me of like Thousand Suns. I'm blanking on the name right now, but the points that they can gather for taking certain units.
Right. I know what you mean.
Right. So here you
Which is
go.
super cool. Once again,
Yeah.
more cool stuff.
So here you go. You're gonna get tally points for worthy offerings for your war dogs, aberrants, and tyrant class titans. And let's go through a few of these that we have. It's gonna be, I think they said 15 of these traits. So gonna have a lot to choose through. Of course, they only gave us like 3 to look at. And the first one they gave us was a Blood Shield, which, if your model has it, uh, basically being able to ignore all invul saving throws.
Yeah, that's damn good. We're corn people.
Yeah. But there was one thing that caught me off guard with this, which it says if you activate this, you lose the keyword psychic, which means knights are going to be able to be psychics?
Yeah, the new knight is a psychic knight.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. The one with the flail, which is super exciting. It makes me want it because I think that's super cool. Make a Zinch Knight or something.
Yeah, well, that's very cool. So, making melee knights, uh, may be viable. I don't know. It's still kind of hard to say because melee knights don't usually do too well. You want to usually go with the shooty knights. So, I
Right.
mean, if your guys already got the Marker Corn, you can activate this twice. But I don't know. I'd have to maybe see other corn offerings here to see if this one's good or not. Because I don't think this one's too good, given the fact that I don't know the stat lines of the knights and their
Yeah, it
weapons.
needs to have a lot of defensive tech, like lots of wounds or something,
Yeah,
to survive being in melee and not dying on the way there.
yeah, something maybe not degrade its movement too much.
Yeah, that would work.
But we'll have to wait and see. But we got that one. We got Slanesh, which allows you to run and fall back and count as remaining stationary. And if you are with Slanesh, you can charge the same time you advanced and fell back. So this one, it's pretty good, I would say, if you are doing a melee knight army, because then at least you can run and attack if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I'd have to I'd have to see if there's any benefits of falling back or not, but like if you got any charge bonus for doing such a thing. But again,
Right.
hard to say without knowing what the weapons and other abilities do. But for melee knights, I think this one would be pretty good, especially if you're gonna just mow down hordes of models or try to get to important characters. It's a pretty good thing to have.
Right.
And then, surprisingly, which I didn't expect to see, we got a undivided favor. Usually, those are kind of left out, right?
Yeah, usually most good bonuses are god specific, so I like that they're including an undivided version for players like John.
Well, uh, with this, can't if you're attacking anything with this blessing, you can't reroll hits, wounds, or damage rolls. And if you're undivided favored, you basically have a transhuman effect on you. So pretty good. This one's pretty good. Help you survive a bunch of those anti-tanks. This is the probably the only one I can say that's good without knowing anything.
Right, without seeing the rest of the book.
Yeah,
Totally fair.
because that's just survivability. I mean, knights are the big knights are usually toughness 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then armigers are what, toughness 7?
I think there's 6 or 7. I'm not don't know off the top of my head, but something like that.
So I mean, on the armigers, these are can only win those things on a 4+ if you're hitting them with something hard hitting. So your bright lances, las cannons, all that, winning them on a 4+, giving them a lot more survivability.
Yep.
But again, don't know the whole book. Only giving us these 3 things, but I also see these blessings, maybe not these ones directly, but I see these being put into the Chaos Space Marine book as well.
Yeah.
Especially since you just told me that you don't lose faction or legionary abilities.
Yeah, you don't lose those kinds of abilities when you're combining your knight with your chaos army, which is huge.
Yeah, that never made sense to me. It made sense to me with the Loyalists, but the Chaos Marines didn't really make too much sense to me. But there we go. I think Knights. I mean, they're okay. They're okay abilities. Knights right now are not in a good spot, but who's really going to be in a good spot when Tyranids are going to be rampaging very soon? Even with the updated hotfix that we're going to go over later.
Right. We'll see.
But that is it for the Chaos Knights. Now we got Heresy Thursday, which I think you called it. I'm pretty sure you said we were going to get a Praetor.
Yep.
And here we go. We got ourselves a Praetor. I was going to call him Iron Hands. This is Imperial Fists.
Fists, yeah. It is generic, though. Some of the rumors said it was Imperial Fist only Praetor, but this confirms that it is a generic Praetor, which is great. I love generic Praetors as much as I also love faction-specific Praetors. Both are good.
It's just weird. Has there ever been a Space Marine with a beard and a mustache?
Yeah. In Falcon Ron, the special character, there's a bunch of alt heads for like space wolves and stuff with them, but it's not very...
Space wolves make sense, but I mean,
yeah, it's not
anyone
very
else?
common. No, not really.
That's weird. It's weird because I'm used to such a clean-shaven Space Marine.
Right. I mean, his beard is very fancy.
Looks like
Definitely not a space wolf beard.
Looks like a man from the Empire.
Oh, right, from fantasy.
Got upgraded to a Space Marine. Well, how do you feel? I mean, I guess you like it. So
I'm lukewarm. I think it's neat, but I don't know. I mean, I actually don't like the pose. With the sword kind of looks unnatural. I think it's a cool model, but I'm just being picky right now.
Well, at least they got the tactical rock, so that's all that matters.
I mean, I'm gonna own this eventually because I'm gonna get the box. This I don't like that the left shoulder pad has studs. I'd prefer a blank space, but whatever. I do think that not do think I have observed that this model is very divisive in the 30K community. The buzzwords were this looks 240K, which I get what they mean. It's very ostentatious and blingy, but it's a lot of 30K models are ostentatious and blingy. Now, all the old ones weren't. If you look at the original creators from Forge World, a lot of them were very very simple. It was usually just not a lot of design difference
Uh-huh.
from the Praetor to a regular Legionary. So yeah,
Well, it's plastic, and you got more,
he is plastic, which is
and
amazing,
you got
and
updated
he's way
designs,
better
right?
than the other Praetor that we have.
You got upscale, right, on these
Yes,
models.
yes, absolutely, which is great. He is upskilled.
So there you go.
I
That's right.
like him, but
He's
it
okay.
does it definitely harkens to a new design philosophy for 30K 2.0, which is again the more ostentatious
Hmm.
bling characters. And it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's my cup of tea. But I can see why people aren't used to this kind of design or prefer the much more simpler ones. Which honestly, if you like those, just make one from a Space Marine kit. Because a lot of those old Praetors that are simpler are look like they could be made by kit bashing tactical squad or something. So the option's still there. But for us who like the more out there designs in terms of fanciness, we have this guy, which is I think that's great.
It's just a Space Marine to me.
Oh, how I wish some people shared that simple mindset, simple but effective mindset. But yeah, it's a
Well,
space.
I mean, the 30K community is like what I equate to the historical community, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's why
But
I could
it's
never get
weird.
into historicals.
But it's weird because the historicalness of it is still in dispute, and there's a lot of debate. Like the Mark 6 thing is an example. Like, oh, historically there wasn't a lot of Mark 6. Only Alpha Legion and Raven Guard had them. It's like, well, actually, in the Black Books, it straight up says everyone has Mark 6. You know, so yeah, it makes it challenging to
It's
determine
commonly
what exactly is canon, quote unquote. I mean, essentially everything is canon. So honestly, approaching 30K, as long as it's cool and there's effort, people will like it. Just don't use Primaris models because it's the Primaris are clearly. I mean, to me, they clearly have a distinct look.
oh yeah, they're more sleek.
They're more sleek. They have specific. There's stuff with their armor that isn't just chalked up to a personal design thing for the wearer. There's just a lot of stuff with Primaris is just unique, and they're just the size. They're big. True scale Space Marines are smaller than Primaris, so it's really obvious if you're using a Primaris model.
Yeah. Don't have to worry about that with me. But on to new model Monday though. Got ourselves another bike.
Speaking of things who I don't know how to feel about.
Well, I mean, we always knew vehicles were going to be a little controversial in Necromunda,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
but
I
I
mean,
think I feel where you're coming from on this.
yeah. I guess to be accurate, I just kind of don't care. There's a lot of Necro models that I just don't care about, and this definitely fits in that category. I just kind of don't give a crap about
But
what
this is
this
what, just
model
a
is.
mercenary, right?
No, it's an Orlock.
Oh, it's Orlok. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's an Orlock bounty hunter, from what I could read here.
I didn't even
So
read it. Okay,
yeah,
well, So you think next week will be what? Another specific vehicle for Necromunda? For new model Monday? That seems to
I
be the trend right now.
think I think we'll see an Ash Wastes bounty hunter, and then the box will come out.
Alright then, well. So soon.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be soon.
Well, I mean, you are predicting this week will be
I mean, with,
pre-orders.
with Necron vehicles, as long as I get to play, as long as there's enough content that's not vehicles, like let me play my Fallout Wasteland Fantasies in Necromunda, I'm fine. So yeah,
Well, I
I'm
mean,
not being too picky with it at the end of the day.
given how Ash Waste is, I mean, I think vehicles might be the way to go. Just given
Yeah,
how open it is.
yeah. I mean, worst case, I'll just use the regular nec. I mean, I'm sure there's they have campaign rules that don't involve vehicles.
I'm sure they
Just
do.
because, yeah. And that's the content I'm gonna be playing with mostly. So I just kind of don't care about vehicles in Necromunda.
All right, well, I think that's kind of the big selling point of Ash Waste, unfortunately, is the
Yeah,
vehicles.
yeah, and I get it. You can't just do an expansion that's a different setting without having some kind of new mechanic or core mechanic in. But I just want them to include enough stuff for the not vehicle people like me
Right.
that I'll be happy.
Oh, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
This week they'll announce the pre-order.
I hope so. This week.
Wait and see. But on to the bigger news. We got that balance update.
We did get that balance update.
We got it. And it was kind of interesting. Some stuff I kind of wish they did a little bit more. And some stuff is like, it's okay. It's kind of justified.
And some stuff is like, what the hell were you thinking? Do you hate this faction?
Yeah, well, shall we jump into it?
Yeah. Disclaimer: I'm a broken record, but once again, if I think the idea of making things OP to sell them, the nerfing them is bullcrap. There is not a lot of evidence suggesting that. If there's any discrepancies on how GW writes rules, it's just because it's not their priority, and I don't think they're very good at writing a well oiled balanced game because it's hard if that's how you're designed.
Well,
They're
it's
not
hard when you
using
got
rubbers, they're just buffing things to sell and then nerfing them when they sell.
it's
Right.
hard when you got, like 14 factions to deal
Exactly.
with.
Exactly. So we'll get that out of the way because that is talked about a lot.
Well, let's start with one thing that I know has been plaguing the competitive scene, and we kind of talked about it last week on what we were hoping for. Indirect Fire,
Yes.
somewhat nerfed.
This is a chill nerf, but when you combine it with the Armour of Contempt, it's a huge swing.
Oh yeah,
It's very impactful to the meta.
yeah. Well, for those who don't know, Indirect Fire, you can still just shoot across the board, no problem. You don't need like a spotter or anything. But if you do not have direct line of sight with that model, which most indirect people do not have line of sight of people, it'll be a -1 to your political skill and a +1 to the enemy save. Unless you're guard. Guard are not affected by this rule. So I feel like a spotter would probably fix this problem, but whatever. I guess this is fine with a -1 political skill and the
And
enemy
AP.
getting +1.
Yeah, the AP is also pretty significant. Yeah, it is a huge change.
I mean, it's gonna nerf the Tau a lot.
It is a big impact on smart missile systems, and a lot of competitive Tau builds rely on just spamming that and airburst
Yeah,
to annihilate units without seeing them. So that is a huge blow to that. And I think it's just good game design. Deploying a unit and then just shooting it with impunity is
just sitting behind a building and just continuously firing, no
yeah,
problems.
no one likes that.
No, as someone who's fought Tau twice with that system, yeah, it's not that great.
See, for me, it's also kind of sidetracked, but with terrain, I do think that if in a game, if you can just deploy a unit and the unit can shoot 80% of the enemy army, that's either you need more terrain, cough 30K community cough, or you need better rules that or if you have enough terrain and the unit has some kind of line of sight ignoring thing without penalty, then you need to look at that. And this is that. So I'm glad that they touched on that and fixed it because it was a huge issue for a
Well,
long.
I know in the competitive scene, the terrain's not too much of an issue given what you need, which is, like 4 ruins, uh, two or two or four line of sight blocking and two forests. I mean, it's quite a lot of terrain. So terrain's not too much of a problem, but it becomes a problem where it's like you're saying, all the indirect fire spam, where they can shoot you without having to do anything, and you can't do anything about it.
Right, which is not good.
So I don't think it's terrain's too much of a problem. It's just more. Well, I got nothing to do. I can't. There's nothing I can do to counter this.
Right.
And it's literally not fun. The first time I fought Tao, I mean, he didn't have that many, but the second time I fought Tao, it was just like everyone has smart missile systems, and no matter what I do, it's just like, all right, one unit dead, another unit dead, another unit dead. All right, now it's your turn. It's like, well, I lost like half my army already.
Yeah, without doing anything.
Without I can't even attack him because he's hidden to where I can't see him. So the -1, that'll greatly affect Tau, because even with the marker lights, they'll still be only hitting on a 4 if they can't see you. And if they don't have a marker light on you, that means they're hitting on 5s. So
yes.
I'm sure we're going to see a lot more changes to this. Maybe not. Maybe they'll just be more aggressive with their suits, but it'll definitely be different. So I'm glad to see that. Next, a rule I didn't expect to see, which I'm sure everyone who has power armor is celebrating, is the Armour of Contempt rule.
This is a huge deal. I mean, I play power armor faction, so I'm glad of this change, but this is way, I think from the talk online, this is way more, this is way bigger than people give it credit for.
I think it is.
Whole armies ignore or worsen AP by 1. That's insane.
Oh yeah, that mean all the Eldar buffs, like they got the -1 shuriken AP on their shuriken weapons. Basically now just hoping for a 6 to make it a -2.
Right. Orcs get a huge decrease in combat effectiveness. Choppas essentially have no AP against Space Marines.
I mean, it makes sense.
Right. Which
when you think about it.
Which is fluffy. And I do feel that before this change, a lot of Space Marines were just dying in droves not for no reason, but too easily. For the powered armored super soldier faction, it's supposed to be super tanky. They were just kind of dropping like flies. So this is a welcome change, but
well, I mean, to be honest, I mean that's kind of GW's fault. They're like, all right, Space Marines 2 wounds. All right, now let's give everyone a lot of damage to weaponry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand that.
Or just make all these weapons that are damage 1 but have a bazillion shots AP 1, so they just fail all their saves.
Yeah. Well, this is a huge buff, because I mean, Terminators are great.
And it's not just infantry, vehicles get this. Predator tanks, those sisters, those Nundums, those war suits.
Oh yeah.
Demon engines get this change, right? That's crazy. Good. Leviathans, Volkite Contemptors, all that stuff. They get armor.
Well,
they get this AP reduction. That's insane.
Thankfully, it doesn't apply to Dread Knights or Sacrosaints or Storm Shields.
Right.
Because
which means oh, you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't fight against any Grey Knight players in the LVO, but everyone in my game group did, and they said the Dread Knights, was the worst thing they've ever had to fight against. So
It just pushes Terminators for Grey Knights hardcore. You just see less Dread Knights and just see legions of Grey Knight Terminators. Grey Knights become the new Custodies.
I mean, my Thousand Suns, I run 20 Terminators, so
Terminators, yeah, that's insane. You got all this dust on top of this. That's super good.
yeah, it's gonna. I mean, they already get like a +1 because I mean most AP1 weapons are damage 1, so they already get a +1 to their save.
Right.
So now it's gonna be like, hey, 1+ save. Here we go.
Yeah, and against Intercessors, you still get your 2-up.
Yeah, and so I mean this is great news for all the power army because I mean, like I said, when you're the first book, you basically get forgotten. So now that Sisters, Chaos, I mean Chaos Space Marines haven't even gotten their book, but you know, Death Guard and Thousand Suns and normal Space Marines all getting this buff. And
Yeah,
I think we're gonna see a jump in their power spike a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know how well it'll be, but it'll still be pretty good.
Now, is it a bad change? I don't think so, because again, it still makes Space Marines into the tanky super soldiers they are. I don't think Sisters should have gotten this. I think I get it's a power
I think they
army.
should have gotten. I think it's fine.
I think just thematically, it's a huge buff in their tankiness. But honestly, that's debatable. Like I'm not gonna. That's not something I hold or I'm gonna fight. And that's not a hill I'm gonna die on. The hill I will die on is I really think only infantry should get this change. I don't think vehicles need this. I don't think my Redemptor needs this. I played a game on Saturday and my Redemptor was just shrugging off hits.
Well, I mean, Dreadnoughts with the -1 damage already.
Yeah, and this, my gosh, it's crazy. Leviathans might see some more play now, which is fine, but yeah, the possibilities of this rule are endless. Of just the fact that everything gets this buff, and not just infantry.
The only thing I dread is the fact that Death Guard are gonna be even more tanky. I hate fighting Death Guard.
Yeah, it doesn't make Plague Marines any better because Plague Marines still do no damage. But I could definitely see more Terminators because of this. Blight Lords just exponentially increase in tankiness.
Yeah.
I mean, the Plague Burst gets this.
Oh, I know. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we've got. Hit. Bodyguard rule got hit. What is it? Kind of got buffed actually, if I recall. You can now no longer target characters who are, even if there's less than 3 models, you still have to target the closest model if you're trying to hit a character. So I mean that got buffed.
Bodyguard?
Yeah.
Oh no, this is a nerf.
Oh yeah, I know. I know majority of it's a nerf, but the lookout sir said even if the unit contains fewer and less than 3 models, right?
Right.
It used to be you had to have 3 models in order to get it.
Right. Well, no, the old rule was if you were if the character was close by, you just couldn't shoot the character.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so what you do is and the jankiness is if you hide the bodyguard unit out of sight, bodyguard still triggers, so the character was just unable to be shot.
Right.
Which is super janky.
It's always someone trying to break the rules here.
Right.
But, yeah, Bodyguard isn't going to be doing too well anymore. Because, yeah, I got a little nerf there.
Yeah, it still makes some units like Tyrant Guard really good for what they do. But it's definitely a nerf to like the Space Marine stuff, like the Company Champions. Kind of useless now. Because all they did was provide the bodyguard rule for your commanders, and now they kind of just don't do anything at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's all the generic rules. Now we got the specific rules here. Which, first page, obviously, I already mentioned the Indirect Fire for the Astra Militarum. They're not affected by that, probably because they're not getting their book till being probably gonna be the last army that gets their book.
Probably.
Adeptus Sororities, obviously buffed with the armor. Miracle dice are gonna get more miracle dice. They're gonna start getting it at the start of each turn, not battle round. So that's a big buff for them. And Valorous Heart, I believe, got buffed as well. Now prevents reroll wound rolls. I don't know, didn't get buffed, never mind. But it got changed.
Oh, there you are.
So, sisters are okay. I mean, Miracle Dice is probably where they're gonna be succeeding now.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? Imperial Guard. They didn't really get too much.
Oh, they got a huge thing.
Well, I know the infantry squads are 60, and all the war gear is free for them on their normal infantry squads.
If you roll a 6 to hit, it automatically wounds.
Yeah, but the last,
Yeah, Hammer of the Emperor. This is not as big of a deal as people think it is.
I don't think it's that big.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, okay. Oh my gosh, your guardsmen are gonna shred vehicles now. No, not really. Not really.
No, they may have a volley of shots, which lots of DACA is always good, but it's not gonna do too much. In the end, It is just Guard.
Right now, Guard are just a worse Tau without them. They're just Tau without the mobility. So I mean, they can shoot stuff, but their firepower isn't there even with this change, and they don't have the mobility to contest to play the objective game. So yeah, kind of not really in a great spot.
This is just for the regiments, right? This isn't for like vehicles or anything, is it?
Oh, it's for everyone.
Well, you know what? Then I take it back. It is pretty good. But I mean, that's if you're doing like tank stuff and you put like a lot of mass shooting into it. Might do a lot more.
I mean, if you play Guard, yay, but it's not something that's going to make Guard win tournaments at all.
Well, no, not till they get their book.
Yeah,
but this is just something to help them out in the competitiveness.
Right. It is a neat thing.
Custodies, one of the top 3 armies out there.
Got it.
Yeah, they lost objective secured on anything that is not a troop. So that's say goodbye to those fast bikes.
That's a gimmick they had too. That was one of their faction identity things where they could obsec without being infantry, and now they can't anymore. Or sorry, without being troops.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, the bikes are ridiculous. So kind of
right.
Their stratagems, their 3 main stratagems took a hit here. Esteem Amalgam, which will allow you to borrow a shield host trait for the Emperor's Chosen. That
a lot of it's now once per game.
Yep, it's all once per game. Emperor's Aspects turns enemies rerolls. Turns off enemies rerolls. Sorry. This now only applies to infantry, so you can't get that on your bikes or dreadnoughts. And material discretion changed at a Marshal Kata. I don't really know what that means, but we got that. So I know the Esteem Amalgam was a big one. Being able to borrow a shield host trait, that was big. Arcane Genetic Alchemy, the transhuman strat, can now only be only for infantry, no longer for your bikes.
Yeah.
So they're basically just getting rid of a lot of buffs for your bikes.
Yeah,
which were a menace.
Yeah, a lot of the once per game stuff that's huge. Losing OBSEC is also huge on stuff like your dreadnoughts and vehicles and your terminators, which is very unfortunate because again that's another one of their faction identities where it would they were an elite army and their elite units functioned like troops in other armies. So and they kind of lost a bunch of that, which sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, when they got buffed with the update, a week after they got released, with all the point reductions and stuff, it's I think these nerfs are warranted because the bikes are what 6 wounds for a squad for one guy.
HQs are like 6 wounds.
So they're what 5 wounds then maybe.
No, they're like 4, I think.
No. The bikes. The bikes are
Yeah,
4 wounds.
like 4 or 5 wounds.
All right, I'm gonna
It's
say
not,
five
it's not
wounds.
crazy. Yeah, it's not something crazy, but
Yeah, but they're tough. They're hard to kill. They're fast.
right.
So it's I can see them losing some stuff on their bikes. Like Obsect, because that's just punishing.
I mean, in terms of comparing them to, I think when we compare them to Talon Harlequins, they definitely got hurt the most. Definitely lost a lot of stuff. So again, this is a crazy, crazy big nerfs here, especially compared to Talon Harlequins.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the next thing, we got Death Guard on my list here. Obviously, Armour of Contempt and Blight Lords and Death Trowns gain Obsect.
We got
Obviously to be like the Thousand Suns.
that's big change, big change.
But they did have a point increase last update. So will they be taking more? We'll see.
I think so because of Armor Contempt.
Well, that and Obsect. Now that they have
Yeah,
that.
because Plague Marines are still terrible because they still do no damage.
Yeah,
So
but
I still think,
they're just there to soak up.
right, but Terminators soak up and do damage. So I think we will see because of this change. We'll see more. We'll see more Terminators.
All right. Well, here's the 75% win rate army, Harlequins.
Yep.
And they got hit with what you hate the most, point updates.
Yes, freaking point updates.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that in this update there was no restrictions to anything. Like you can't take 9 Void Reavers. You can still take 9 Void Reavers. It just costs points.
Yeah.
So
That
Void Reavers now being 130 points. So that's pretty brutal.
Yes, it is pretty brutal.
Star Reavers went up 15 points, so now they're 95 points. Probably still be used, but it is still expensive. And those are the point updates, which no surprise there that those were the ones that were going to get hit. And now the rule updates. Mirror Architect now only protects one unit. What it used to be was, I believe this goes on a Shadow Seer. It used to be that everyone within 6 inches of it counted 6 inches away. So you just put your Shadow Seer, at the edge of the table with all the stuff, and anyone who tried to shoot the vehicles were treated as being 6 inches further away. So being able to get out of shooting range. Now you have to just pick one person. It's no longer an aura. So that's a good hit, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Favor. How do you say the Laughing God's name?
Segorok.
Segorok. No longer works with range attacks, which, from what the stories I've heard, has made the Death Jester a crazy sniper. Because he can just keep rolling dice and just wipe out units. how much damage he can deal. So that's why it no longer worked with range attacks.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, well, imagine losing a whole unit to like one model.
Yeah.
Death Jesters weren't really even that good, but with this, made them monsters. So, and that's pretty much all the nerfs they got. So, point updates for the spam vehicles, and a hit to some relics. I don't really remember what favor Chigorth is. Is that a stratagem? It's a warlord trait.
I kind of feel I don't. I mean, this is definitely a nerf to brain dead Harlequin play, but I still think this is not gonna. This is just gonna reduce Harlequins from like an 80% win rate to like a 55, 60% win rate, 60% win rate. I still think they'll be top of the curve, but it definitely makes them more challenging to play, which is good. Because I feel before I was looking at battle reports and all that, and it was just walk your Void Weavers up and then shoot everything, and then laugh because they can't hit you. Because
Yeah.
they have the transhuman to hit roll and all that, and you got Lock of the Laughing Gods. You can reroll your invulns.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how big of a nerf this is. Again, I don't play the clowns. I don't really have any interest in playing the clowns, but I think the point updates will change up the strategy a little bit here.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next army, Tau. Looks like a lot of their enclaves got hit. So, Montka, which is the one that my friend likes to use a lot, no longer grants an extra AP when shooting the closest unit, and now only grants rerolls of 1.
Yeah, that's a huge change. My buddy who plays that also uses Montka a lot, and losing that AP, especially against Space Marines, you effectively lost 2 AP with his data slate because Armour of Contempt and this change.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna hurt the Flamers. The Flamers, the burst weapons,
Yeah,
or the pulse. Yeah, it's gonna hurt a little bit here.
yeah.
Farside Enclaves, Sipt now only grants a marker light within 9 inches, which is a big nerf, as it no longer works from Deep Strike. So that's the only nerf I see with that. Broadsides lost the core rule. I don't know. I don't think broadsides were much of a problem because I only know one person with Tau, and when he found out about the whole crisis suit spam, that's pretty much what he went with.
Yeah, I don't like this change.
I think it's a pretty bad change. I don't know why they. I mean, maybe because
it's just gonna make people take more crisis suits,
Well, crisis got the core keyword, so why wouldn't you?
Right. Especially because, narratively speaking, broadsides are a core function of Tau armies. So, yeah,
it's weird.
I don't know. I don't know how else they would have picked. I don't think broadsides are that big of an issue, to be honest.
No, broadsides, I think we're a bit, honestly, overpriced.
No, I think they were really good. I saw them a lot on competitive lists. Like if you had 6 of them, that was a lot of deleted. To be fair, this is with a lot of the smart missile spam came from broadsides. So
I
that
fight against
change plus the core removal is a huge nerf to them. I mean, even my buddy, he doesn't really use the core keyword too much with his broadside, and his broadside still does a lot of work. I think a unit of 3 broadsides will still delete a unit if you play it properly, by keeping it in sight and all that. Yeah. But a squad of crisis suits will do the same thing and has the core keyword for all your commander-related shenanigans. So, for casual Tau players, I don't see this as a huge it doesn't seem like it doesn't make broadsides worthless,
It doesn't
but
make them worthless, but it
it,
was
it
an unnecessary change.
yeah, it's just weird. I wish they didn't do it, especially because broadsides aren't a big problem, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep, some people think they're not that good anyway, which is fair assessment when stuff like crisis suits exist.
I'm one of them. I don't think they're that good when comparing them to the crisis suits.
Yeah. So
And then another thing that I'm happy got nerfed: the repulsor impact field and photon grenades no longer stacks with other modifiers. Uh, so you can never be a -4 to charge a unit now, and now it'll always be a -2.
yeah, it's a good change. I mean, Tau in such a good spot right now if you're a Tau player because I mean the main weakness of Tau is melee, and it's actually really hard to kill Tau in melee now. I mean, I play Black Templars, it is not easy.
Yeah, I
Especially
agree.
crisis suits. Crisis suits are pretty tanky. Unless you throw more Tarian at them or something, but it's more Tarian, right?
I mean, that's a Primarch. That he's expected to kill them all.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think anything really changed. I think everything else is pretty much the old updates. So
Yeah.
that was our emergency patch, which I don't know. You think there's gonna be another emergency patch when Tyranids get their book?
Yes, especially because one of the big Tyranid builds is Mortal Wound Spam, and Mortal Wound Spam does not give a crap about Armor Contempt. If anything, all these changes just push Tyranids even more. Especially when we have no real confirmation of Crusher Stampede being unavailable. I think Dallas Open said they're not using Crusher and allowing it, but it's still not an official word from GW
Yeah,
regarding the status of Crusher Stampede. So, and for reference for our listeners, Crusher Stampede is a Tyranid army of alternate way of building your army, where you can only take multi-wound models, but everyone kind of gets -1 damage, which is super powerful.
it's super good. That's what it
Yeah.
is. Well, that is all the good old Warhammer that I have.
Yeah. I mean, balanced ale slate overall. What are your thoughts? You like good, bad?
Uh, I'm sticking with Craftworld Eldar, so obviously I knew nothing was going to get nerfed on my end or buffed. But it's hard to say. I like some of the changes. I think Armor Contempt is good. It gives fluff wise. I think it helps out the Space Marine be a little more tough instead of dying to Orc Shootas and uh Jukari dirty needles, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's good for them. The Indirect Fire, I say you should have a spotter, but I'll take the -1 and the +1 save compensation, I guess. And everything else, yeah, I'm okay with. It's whatever. In the end, Tau, glad they got hit. Harlequins probably could have done something else, but I'll take the point increase and we'll just see what happens from there. And Custodies, I think the bikes losing Obsect is fine. So that's how I feel about it. I think it's an okay update, but I already know that Tyranids is already going to be a greater threat.
Yeah. Considering everyone got nerfed but them. Well, everyone that was doing really well got nerfed. And the Karens are already doing well in the competitive scene.
Oh yeah, with the Crusher Stampede, and since that's not getting technically taken away, it's gonna be interesting.
Yep. Yep.
So, shall we go to our hobby rant section then?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, what you've been up to?
Working on some more machine, painting some more stuff. Played a 40K game over the weekend. Played a game of Black Templars versus Eldar, and I won by 5 points. We're playing a lot of Tempest of War now, which I like.
Oh yeah, how is that?
I like it. I mean, if you like random objectives to keep the game interesting, it's great. If you don't like random objectives, it sucks. It just kind of boils down to that. But I do like I do like the random nature of it. I think it makes the game more interesting. It's definitely less balanced than the than regular secondaries, because on one hand, not being able to pick secondaries forces you to make a more balanced army. But you could be in a situation where you draw a bunch of, like, you could be in a situation where you all your objectives are some variation of grab the enemy objectives in their deployment zone or stuff they've held, and the enemy grab stuff like sit on your deployment zone.
Mhm.
So there is that. I don't think it's more balanced. I think it's a different kind of game. But I find it more fun, especially for if you're more casual.
You think it's better for lower point games?
No, I think it's good for 2K. I think it's more geared toward casual competitive, not competitive competitive.
Right.
Like, if you care about strategy and winning, but you're not into the number crunching and the pre-game planning and all that.
Okay.
If Put it this way, if you don't like the kind of 40K where you can win the game with minimal interaction with your opponent by just controlling the board, it's great for that because it forces you to fight, because you could draw a bunch of kill point objectives or aggressive objectives, and you're forced to do some fighting. So yeah, it's fun. I like it.
Hmm. That's cool. Yeah, I haven't bothered getting the cards yet. I don't think I'm gonna pick them up, to be honest, but it is cool to see another way to play the game.
Yeah, it's ultimately that which I like.
Yeah, well, on my end, I've been lazy. I haven't really touched anything.
Yeah.
Haven't played any games. We didn't meet up last week. I didn't do any painting either. Probably need to do some painting after this stream. Or not stream, this recording. But yeah, probably gonna play some 40K this week, this Wednesday.
Nice.
Probably film it for the battle report and see what happens.
Ooh.
It depends on who my opponent is.
All right, that should be fun.
I don't want to fight like my two newbie friends. That wouldn't make a good battle report. But well, we'll see who all shows up on Wednesday. But that's pretty much what I have planned. I want to start painting up the avatar, and I gotta get my Necromunda gang up and ready. And to be fair, the Armour of Contempt rules made me want to continue my Black Templars and get them up and painted.
There you go.
There's always so much. I'm so scatterbrained.
There's always so much. Yeah, same for me. Now I'm painting a War Machine right now, and I have two War Machine factions I'm working on. I'm working on Signar and Gatorman, and I have my 30K plans. I actually just primed the squad, which I want to paint as soon as possible. So we'll see. You will see.
Yeah, man. I wanna get so much done, but yet there's just no time and no motivation sometimes.
Right.
If only work didn't exist, then I'd have the motivation, maybe. But that's all I've got. Hopefully, next week we'll see if Necromunda will be announced or not. Because then that'll really get my drive up to finish my gang.
The Necro drive.
But yeah, you got anything else you want to say before we close out here?
That is it.
All right then. Well, everyone, thanks for hanging out, making it to the end. Make sure to like, leave a comment, help us out. Battle report. I'll give a date. Let's see. I only got 1 week to get a battle report out before this month's over. So next week, battle report. So look forward to that, and we'll see everyone next week.
Later, everyone.
See ya.